The man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students more than 6 months ago will be in court this morning in Moscow. Prosecutors say Bryan Kohberger stabbed Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonsalves at a home next to campus in the early morning hours of November 13th.
Kohberger will be arraigned on 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. Our Morgan Romero is up in Moscow covering this story for us right now, and she tells us what we can expect in just a few hours.
Good morning. Bryan Kohberger has a chance to enter a plea here in District Court in Latah County this morning. He can choose to plead not guilty. He can stand silent and the judge can enter a not guilty plea on his behalf. He can ask for a continuance, or he could plead guilty. A former prosecutor I talked to says there is no chance Bryan Kohberger pleads guilty in this case. At 9 a.m. Pacific time, District Court Judge John Judge will officially tell Kohberger he was indicted on the 5 charges and ask if he wants the charges read out loud. The judge will also tell Kohberger the penalties those charges carry. The judge will then ask if he's prepared to enter a plea. If Kohberger pleads not guilty, or the judge enters that for him, the case will be set for trial. Attorneys say if he asks for a continuance, he'll still be arraigned, but the judge will set the case for another hearing, typically within a week or 2, and he'll enter a formal plea at that time. A grand jury convened in private and indicted Kohberger last week on the 5 charges he already faced, meaning he'll no longer have his preliminary hearing in late June. With the formal charges now filed in an indictment, the case moves into district court. Former Ada County Chief Deputy Prosecutor Gene Fisher says prosecutors also shaved off a month's worth of time. Fisher adds this grand jury process shouldn't come as a surprise to Kohberger's defense at all.
Prosecutors are going to ask for a grand jury proceeding in a case like this, given the nature of the case, the attention that it's already received in the media, and the fact that it's a great tool for the prosecutors because they're able to go in and present probable cause to 16 members of the community versus in front of a judge, and the witnesses come and they don't have to be cross-examined while the state is still under the obligation and rules of discovery to put on enough evidence to show that a crime was probably committed and that the defendant probably committed the crime.
When we got into Moscow last night, we went to the home where the students were killed. The doors are boarded up and a fence surrounds the house. There's a security guard manning a little blue trailer in the driveway. 6 months later, there is still crime scene tape, as well as this makeshift memorial outside the property. Once a plea is entered for the man accused of murdering those students in this home, his trial could happen within the next 6 months, or he could waive his right to a speedy trial. Like the Vallow and Daybell cases, this judge could also move Kohberger's trial down to Ada or another county in Idaho where there's a better chance of finding a fair and impartial jury. Fisher also pointed out if Kohberger enters a plea this morning, the 60-day countdown begins for prosecutors to file a notice that they want to seek the death penalty. Kohberger also has 2 procedural hearings lined up this morning after his arraignment. If anything of importance comes out of those, we will be sure to report them on air and online. Reporting in Moscow, Morgan Romero, Idaho's News Channel 7.
So again, Kohberger's arraignment is scheduled to start at 9 a.m. Pacific time, so that is 10 a.m. our time.
Now, we cannot carry it live from inside the courtroom, but we will have a live report right after the arraignment wraps up to let you know exactly what happened.